there appears in the world someone who is highly enlightened, he is always considered, you see, to be a manifestation of one of these 5 Dhyani Buddhas, or of all of them. So this is what the Buddha explains in the Lotus Sutra, that Buddha nature is the eternal principle, and that furthermore everybody has it. Trees and grass also have Buddha nature. The very grains of dust have it. And so one of the sutras says, when every phase of our mind is in accord with the Buddha mind, there will not even be one grain of dust that does not become a Buddha. So Buddhism does in fact, contrary to some popular ideas, in this form of Buddhism, which I'm talking about this weekend, look forward to a consummation of the world in which everybody and everything becomes enlightened, and where the whole universe operates in total harmony. Now, it's difficult to understand in what kind of time this is expected to happen. I don't mean in what length of time, I mean in what kind of time. It doesn't seem to be that it will be in what we call the future. But you see, the kind of time that we are living in is only one of many possibilities of time. You know, we think so, especially, I think some scientists are too apt to assume that what we call the physical universe is really what there is, and that there's nothing more than that. I find this an inconceivable assumption, that this is all there is, because we know already, you see, that there are all kinds of levels of existence outside our senses, but within the reach of our instruments. Goodness knows what there is beyond the reach of the instruments. And also in directions that we've never thought of. I mean, people develop these things in science fiction. They love to make up the idea of worlds corresponding to Riemannian spaces, because Riemann invented equations for there being ever so many different kinds of dimensions and spaces, and you can theoretically conceive this. The Hindus and the Buddhists feel, you see, that there are infinitely many times and kinds of time, kinds of space, kinds of world, that they may, from the point of view of our space, be coincidental with each other, that is to say, all in the same place, but there's no need for them to be all in the same place at all. You just have to let your imagination run a little bit. And there's no harm doing that, provided you know what you're doing. Because letting your imagination run, even if you know it's fantasy, will often turn up with extremely interesting results. All mathematics, for example, is simply playfulness. People who do high mathematics are not in the least bit interested as to whether they are going to attain any practical results. They're just doing things like very, very involved crossword puzzles and seeing how to manipulate them. Well, this is simply really a use of disciplined imagination. And so in the same way, many of these Buddhist fantasies are disciplined imagination going to work on the world. So in some state which they would consider the goal of things, but you may also understand the goal not as being in future time, but as being in what you might call basic time, time behind time, time beyond time. There is the state of total fulfillment.